Hi everyone, my name is Tiffany. I'm from Beijing, China. I go to a private university.
Hello everyone, this is Akshay. I'm from Mumbai, India. I go to a public university.
My name is Fatima, originally from Nigeria. I go to an HBCU, meaning historically black colleges.
My name is Tingwen, and I'm from Vietnam. I go to a community college.
I want to be able to influence the world, and the United States stands out as a pace setter in research. I'm so excited about being here.
In my opinion, U.S. degree is extremely impressive, and that makes studying abroad in the U.S. an excellent choice.
There are many types of institutions in the United States.
I think it's just so unique that there's so many to choose from.
I had to make a major choice between the type of university that I was supposed to attend. The major factor that I considered was the scholarship opportunities that were available and the alumni network.
I've heard so much about the HBCUs as historically black colleges. I chose those because I wanted a school that really represents me.
As a humanities student, I prefer seminars instead of lectures because I find myself better understand the material if we get to discuss it in class. That led into my decision of going to a private university.
I chose a community college to study because most of the community college offer affordable costs, and they often offer a lot of majors you can choose from.
Some of the things I find that are in common between different types of institutions in the U.S. is that the curriculum are more comprehensive.
It is more practical oriented that really helps you get hands-on experience about what you're learning.
Students can benefit from forward-thinking technology and modern facilities.
And I love the diversity, the fact that it's a melting pot for everywhere in the world. And so it's an awesome experience for me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our today's session. I'm very happy to welcome you here today, and I'm very happy and excited about our guest today. I'm more than sure that this webinar specifically is going to be super interesting. And my name is Alina Yakubova. I'm an Education USA advisor. I'm here to present another interesting webinar dedicated to athletic scholarships, and we have Jared Martina from SoundCloud University, and we have the coach from SoundCloud University, and here we'll talk, and they will offer us some presentation on the athletic scholarship specifically. And I hope you guys will have your questions prepared, because that's a unique opportunity to also have the coach in the same webinar that we are presenting for you today. So prepare that, submit them in the comment section. You can also submit them after you will rewatch this webinar. You will definitely have more information, and you will hear back from them in case if you'll email them directly. So thank you once again. Welcome, Jared. Welcome, Coach L. We are very happy to have you here. So I will give the floor to Jared to introduce you both. And yes, and tell us more about what we are going to talk about today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alina. Good evening, wherever you are in the world right now. I know here in the US, we are in the morning, early morning. So hopefully you guys are having a great day, basically. My name is Jared JJ Martina. I go by JJ. I'm the Assistant Director for International Recruitment at Admissions at St. Cloud State University. And throughout my presentation, we will talk a little bit about St. Cloud State. And then also today I have my head coach, Coach Gabrielle Brown, Coach L, basically. And she will be able to, go together, and we will explain about, the different processing if you're looking to do sports in the U.S. So it's going to be a great session. We're going to have it as a conversation, so you guys can get to know more about, our background and also the processing and how everything puts together once you come here in the United States. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this presentation, and then you will learn a lot today. So yeah.
Okay, good. So then I think we can go on with the question, with the presentation. Sorry,
Yeah.
and I wanted just to specify about the questions that we will, guys, allow time to the questions after Jared and Coach Al will do a presentation. Okay.
You have. Thank you, Elena. So, like I said, our motto at St. Cloud is bold, innovative, and focus. So if you're looking to come here, St. Cloud, that's who you're going to be. A little bit about today. What is our structure going to be? First, we're going to talk in general of our background, of international athlete sports in the U.S., the different sports that you can do, and we will talk a little bit about that, all the different sports that you can do in the U.S., and also the recruitment process. What this looks like, because a lot of students don't really know, what typically coaches look at, and what you should do in this process. Communication with the coaches. Very, very important as you're looking to come to the US. The communication, how you communicate to the coaches, how you're approaching the coaches, or even how you market yourself. And then also, I want to emphasize too the US higher education system. Very important, because a lot of people don't really know actually how it puts together, how it's structured. So and we want to emphasize on that, on different level of schools that we will talk about today. Recruitment platforms, like I mentioned, in order to promote yourself, you can be on recruitment platforms that coaches are looking at you, looking at videos of you, looking at your game statistics, whatever sports you do. And also we have an international athlete lifestyle. As a student athlete, both me and Coach L were former student athletes in the past in track and field. So it's a lifestyle, we call it's a lifestyle. It's not only like you come to school, be a student, but it's just a lifestyle that you 4 years as you compete. So we will be exploring this part too, so students can get to know, what really looks like being a student athlete. What's your lifestyle? Waking up in the morning, practicing, going to I would say meets every weekend, competing. So it's a lifestyle that you got to live. So this is going to be really interesting for you to know, how our current international students, athletes, live this life. So yeah. So like I said, a little bit background about me. As you guys can see here, the current assistant director of international recruitment and admissions, was a former student athlete back in from 2014. I came to the US in for track and field, and then even before I came to the US, I have competed in several international competitions in different parts of the Caribbean and also different parts of South America, basically. And then I attended school in Kansas, and then school in South Dakota, won several awards, basically an event that I did. And then, right now I love passion of helping students. So that's why now I work in the international admissions. So very important for us to know, what is our background. Specifically, just came here to the US for track and field. So yeah, just for you guys to see, my club that I founded here at St. Cloud State, a running club for everyone who actually is interested in sports, could even compete on varsity sports. Founded a running club so people can, also be physically active on campus and then do the sports that they love, which is a sport club. That's what we call it, because you have varsity sports, which is actually the athletics that the school offer, but also you have sport clubs too that you can join in. And we have students who actually came from this sport club area and actually became a student athlete officially. So there's different ways actually you can go by when you becoming a student athlete. And then basically I have my guest, Coach Al, mostly known as Coach Gabrielle Brown. She is the women's cross country and track and field head coach at St. Cloud State University. So Coach Al, I will let you introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Gabrielle. I go by L for short. I am so grateful to be here this morning with you all here. I am the head track and field and cross country coach for St. Cloud State University. This is year number 2 for me in this position with the Huskies. Like Coach JJ talked about, like track and field athletics, specifically for me and for him, track and field has definitely become something that is a lifestyle for us. I have been fortunate to be coaching at the collegiate level now for 7 years. I went to a private school here in Minnesota, ran club track when I was in my youth, my primary years, and it quickly became something that grew on my heart. I feel fortunate to be in this position now and being able to give back to the entire community. But right now, it's a women's only program. A little bit about me is been fortunate to be able to coach now at the Division III and Division II level, and I graduated from college with a double major in communication education with a certificate in conflict studies. I would say that those skills directly they're pretty seamless and they translate pretty well when it comes to being a coach. As I look at track and field, as I look at the arena as my current classroom, fortunate to be able to have people like Coach JJ on my staff helping out with our program. A little bit of historical moment for me when I signed on with the Huskies. I became the first Black woman head coach for the athletic department. It is not a feat, it is not a charge that I take lightly at all. I'm super fortunate to be able to be in this position. I understand that visibility makes a difference, and so that when people see a version of themselves in a position, they feel inspired to want to try to pursue something similar to it. And so got my so as I assume this role, I'm really intentional with pushing, that athletics is here as an enhancement to your academic experience. And so you'll see that part of the reason why I'm in this position so young is because I took full advantage of all the opportunities that education provided for me. Right out of undergrad, I went right to grad school, was able to obtain numerous degrees as well as certificates for my sport. And then one of the things that I'm also currently thinking about, or not currently pursuing, is getting ready to apply for my doctoral program. And so super fortunate to be here with you all. Super fortunate to be here with JJ. And yeah, looking forward to any of the questions and learning and giving you all my perspective on things.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Coach. Right here, we had a video, but, we're going to show our campus, but, we will show our beautiful campus. But before, let's head into our session itself. Like I mentioned, there's different sports that you can play here in the US, from track and field, softball, baseball, soccer, wrestling. You have different sport like baseball, volleyball, golf, tennis, hockey. St. Cloud is very known for their hockey program right here. So there's so many sports that if you have the talent enough, you can be able to play here in the US and have a great time, basically. So even let's say right now you're a high school athlete and saying, okay, what I'm gonna look like, the recruitment process timeline, it's very important for you to look at wherever you are right now in high school, which is very important. Right now there's different paths and processing when it comes to the recruitment process timeline. Right now, if you say you are a freshman, so first year in high school, you start doing your research, research different division levels, and we will talk about it too in different slides upon the division levels and learn differences in competitions. This is very important for you to start understanding what really, sports is in the US, and this is how you do it. Do some research. You can go on their, NCAA recruiting rules, knowing measurable for your sports. It's very important for you to know like what are the division, because that's what you gonna see, like, okay, this is my level, this is what I can accomplish, this is what coaches are looking at. And then also start looking at the NCAA schools, or like where you want to go specifically, and start exploring what really sports are in the US. I know you have like a TV, so you can watch like ESPN. Sometimes they show sports that are going and in the US on the internet too, that they show different sports that's going on. So start looking. And right now, if you're in your first year, start exploring a little bit about the schools in the US and how really sports operate. Depends what sports you want to go into. And then also basketball too is a huge one that we have in the US sports. And then let's say right now, if you're in your second year, you more in high school, you are to start building your portfolio, start building your athletic resume. It's very, very important, because as you are literally in high school, you have to be able to start looking, okay, what I have accomplished till now, start building that, and then you have to start, promoting yourself a little bit. If there is the NCSE recruiting profile that you can build yourself, build your recruiting profile so coaches can start seeing you a little bit. If you have your friends, your coach, anyone that's, that's supporting you, let them help you with a highlight video. I would say, pretty much it needs to be a good, I would say, quality video, so coaches can actually see how you're interacting, with the game and what your game stats, etc. So different ways that coaches can see, because sometimes being international, it's hard for, to come in the States. Sometimes there is camp suit that you can come, but a majority of students, you don't really have the funds, to come to a camp and, let the coaches see them in person. So that's why utilizing your technology as much as possible, learning about the technology, how you can, showcase your skills in a video, so coaches can see you. So a lot of sports goes by that. Specifically, track and field is more of a, time wise. Coaches look at what your times are, preferably not hand times, because those are not really accurate. So very important aspect as you are going into your sophomore year, which is the second year in which you start promoting yourself, building your portfolio. If you are in your third year, basically what we call here a junior, you start contacting college coaches. This is where you build your resume, build your portfolio in NCSA recruiting profile, and then coach starts seeing you. Sometimes coaches start writing letters to you, make calls, compile a target list of colleges, So all these, because since you start communicating with coaches, so coaches start reaching out to you, you say, okay, this is who I start speaking with. This might be, my target schools that I, think I would like to go, because you look at the internet, you look some videos of the school, maybe you even talk to some athletes of the school, so you can get to know them a little bit. What's the lifestyle, what the surrounding of the school looks like, if they have, a sporting facility. All those are very important as you're looking the school. If you are right now your last year, which is your senior year in high school, this is going to be a very important year, because sometimes, you can get an offer of scholarship. So you have to make your mind, okay, so, you have to make your mind, okay, I'm going to actually do this school, I'm signing here. Specifically, coach can be contacting you and offering scholarship based on who you are. So there's different ways, as you're navigating from freshman to senior year, that you can go to the timeline. So I'll ask Coach L, being a coach itself, Coach L, what you consider like your recruitment timeline, basically?
Yeah, coach, that was you described it pretty thoroughly, pretty in depth. Here's the main things that I'm looking at with the institute, with St. Cloud State being, and I'll use St. Cloud State because this is where we are at. So since St. Cloud State, for example, is a public institution, we do not have what are called like early admissions or early decision timelines. And so for me, the way, and the reason why that's important to note when it comes to like athletics recruiting here specifically, is because that's going to affect the ways in the timeline in which I'm recruiting students. So for me, I typically start to get serious about a student the last part of their junior year of their high school season, going into their senior year, as they are becoming a rising senior. That's when I'm going to be on their radar the heaviest. For our program, we ask for decisions to be made by, at the latest, December 1 of their senior year. And the reason being is because by that point, we just want to get the recruiting class wrapped up and start focusing our efforts onto the juniors that are going to become then rising seniors. So this year, current seniors, they have to December 1 to make a decision about whether or not they want to continue on with St. Cloud as their school of choice. Once we get to December 1, the coaching staff, then we shift to the junior class. At that point, then, because for junior year in the States here, that's then when they're getting ready to take their exams. They're going to start their college search process, those sort of things. And so I would say that's like a very like bird's eye or like a blanket way that I approach recruiting here. The school prior to St. Cloud, it was a private institution. and you had to have a decision made by November 1 of your junior year. So you would go into your senior year of high school already knowing what your college choice was. For track and field specifically, we're not a sport that requires us to recruit out that far in advance, like some other sports they do. So like volleyball, soccer, for example, it's pretty common to make a decision in your junior year. But a sport like track and field, swim and dive, basketball, we don't have to, we have the luxury, if you will. It could be a pros and cons, waiting till a little bit later to start the recruiting process for students. And so I would say, and the coach, would you like me to go into like very specific, all the nuances, or just is that
No, that's perfect.
Okay.
As we having a conversation, no, that's perfect. So they know, because what is really important too that you mentioned, Coach, is the timeline. December 1st, because students are looking. Okay, Coach offer me, let's say for example, $5,000 in scholarship, and you have to look. Okay, what's the tuition? Then I come in at the admission part. What's the tuition of the school? Can I afford the school, based on the scholarship? So this is going to be a decision-making time, because then, you got to be looking at, okay, so I have the scholarship, the tuition, for example, is about $30K. Okay, so what can my parents afford, in order to come to school? So this is a really big decisions that you have to make. And that's why having a great timeline is very important for your long-term decision that you're going to make. So that's why choosing a sport, can be, I would say challenging, but it can take time. And because you have to look at all the specific factors that come to it, look at the scholarship that's being offered to you, but also look at the general admissions of the school that you want to go. Because sometimes, the scholarship that you get, it can be a little bit, I would say, not like a lot that you can cover all of tuition of the school. So you just got to be realistic with yourself. Can I afford this school, or do I need to have another conversation with the coach that say, okay, coach, what can I do if I perform my senior year great? Well, my scholarship will be increased. So you got to have this conversation and build this relationship with your coach, which actually that's what we're going into the next slide, which is the communication of with your coach. So like I start mentioning, number one, you have to do is build a relationship with your coach. Very, very important. Start trusting your coach with who they are. Start having this conversation. Tell the coach a little bit about you, a little bit about your childhood, so coaches can know a little bit about your background, because not only you're doing the sports for the coach, you're actually being a student athlete. So we're looking at the human side of things too. So we're building your character, building your discipline specifically. So this is very important as you are talking to coaches. So build a relationship with the coach, talk about different things that you're going through. Since if you are a top tier talent, coaches will be looking at you. Coaches might reach out to you. So start building that relationship, which is very, very important. And then also second, focus on the process, not on the results. What I mean with this, a lot of students who are student athletes, they all talk about I want scholarship, but you have to focus on the process. You have to be able to perform well, focus on your sport that you're doing right now, be in the moment basically, and then your performance will talk for themselves. Focus on what you can do right now, how you can perform better if you're doing basketball, if you're doing soccer, if you're running track, if you're doing volleyball. Focus right now, because the better you focus on your sport, it's more, I would say, better results you will have in a better way to get a better scholarship. So just do what you got to do at that moment, and then do your best, and then the scholarship will come itself when you perform well. And then the third thing too is find different ways to obtain funds for your education. I know we are talking about different scholarship, athletic scholarship, but research the school itself. The school itself might offer different academic scholarships. So if you have a different talent, if you like playing instrument, if you are artsy, there's so many other scholarships a lot of other schools offer that you can look into. And it's not only really athletic scholarship, which also builds your budget of funds that you have, which is very important. So look at other scholarship too that the schools that you want to go offer, and you can create. Okay, so the coach was talking about, taking off. Okay, based on what I could get here, the academic scholarship to the school offer, or I have a specific talent, I can get the scholarship too. So explore these pathways so you know, okay, what is actually going to be what I'm going to be paying at this school. And then also fourth, identify what really your coaches are looking for. It is very important as you're exploring with the team, get to know the team dynamic as you're talking to the coach, see how they do at their games, the team environment itself. So really get to know what the coaches are looking for in a team, because you can see the other athletes, how they're performing, who they are. And this is very important as you want to be on that team. And then the fifth one, create a video content. We talked little bit about that, in the past slide. This is very, very important in this time. I know, a lot of students are tech savvy, so they can be able to do great videos, I would say we call them reels, which is very fun. And, create some of those creative ways so coaches can see you and see how you perform in your game. So very, very important, because sometimes if you can come to the United States for a camp and things like that, so that video is gonna be able to showcase you what really your skills are. So really focus on creating a great video content for it. And then also continuing with our communication with coaches, I'm gonna ask Coach L. I know we have some ways of communication here, but Coach, how do you communicate with your athletes, and how the athletes communicate with you?
Yes, happy to answer. So when I'm recruiting, especially internationally, the main way that I'm going to be in contact with student athletes is going to be most likely through WhatsApp, and then email. Those are going to be the main ways. But even for our domestic students here in the States, I would say it's still pretty much the same features that I'm using text message or email. I actually just last night, I will also use social media platforms. So to what Coach JJ is saying, we can see those things, right? We can see what you're posting on social media. And so there are a handful of women and their coaches that I'm interested in recruiting for a program, where I just sent them a direct message from their social media accounts. And so I would say, depending on how serious I am about the athlete and how much I feel that they could contribute to the program, that will affect the ways and the length and measures in which I'm willing to go to try to get in contact with them. And so I'm thinking about the group of women that I messaged last night from our team Instagram account. There's some pretty talented women, and so I took it upon myself to not only message them, but to also message their coach, and to just really let them know that I'm interested in them. I would love for them to fill out a recruiting questionnaire. That's another way that we find out inquiries about who's interested in our program. On our athletics website, we have a recruiting questionnaire where people can fill out that form, and we just simply go through that list. We check it pretty frequently on for those who have applied, and then from there we do outreach. The initial outreach most likely will be some sort of email or direct message, I would say, though. And then throughout the process, we're maintaining that via whatever platform works for the family. So I would say for a lot of our international students, typically that is through WhatsApp.
Okay, thank you, Coach. As you guys hear, from Coach himself, how they actually, reach you out and how they keep communicating you. I know WhatsApp is a worldwide, I would say platform that the majority of students are on, because, you can use it pretty easy. Again, emailing too, mail is very, very important too in this era. As you actually come into college, this is what actually your everything is going to be about. I know some countries are different with emails, but email is going to be very important as you are navigating to become a student athlete. Again, on the WhatsApp, you can get a phone call. Sometimes you can call on WhatsApp nowadays, so coach can give you a call on WhatsApp. So keep communicating, keep exploring on WhatsApp. And then also, of course, we have been able to introduce Zoom, which you'll be able to see the coach itself in a more formal way, that you'll be able to meet with the coach, with your parents, talk a little bit about yourself, get a little bit. So there's different way that we can meet actually virtually, so coach can see actually who you are. So you don't have to like come to the United States, and which is very important. And also, coach mentioned about social media. Social media, it's all over, and this is how you get, I would say, kind of like engage with the team itself, because you can follow them on Instagram. Majority of athletics team have their Instagram account, or the school have posts how the team is doing, so you can follow the school that you want to go with the team on Instagram, or there's so many platforms nowadays, TikTok, so many that you can follow through, and actually see what the school is up to and how the athletes are doing. And you can see like who's on the team, and you can compare yourself, based on the skills you have, how you're gonna be able to support the team with your talent, basically. So yeah. And then looking into more, like I said, very, very important, the admission process to the US. In order to be a student athlete, it's not only about the talent and the skills you have in the sport, but also who you are as a leader. It's very important. That's what coaches are looking at, who they can, I know your freshman year can be a little bit intimidating because you're first time in a country, etc. But if you can be that person that is come up for themselves, have that confidence, it's going to be a plus for the coach, because, it's very important what coaches are looking for, being a leader, being yourself, you have confidence in yourself. So that's why I put these, which is very important as you're looking for the admission process. We look at, people who can hold leadership position in their school community, who can do extracurricular activities, student council presidents, etc., have been sport captains on their team. It really can set you apart as you coaches are looking at, specific what type of person you are, basically. And then also, have a good connection with the Education USA advisor like Alina itself, have a good communication with her, ask questions, and, be able to give you advice. And then, of course, like I mentioned, as advice to upperclassmen, as you are gliding more close to the school itself and the athletics, you'll be able to communicate a little bit with the athletes, ask them specifically questions about the school, how was your experience, because this is really going to set you apart. Even people on the teams start building a relationship with you, which Coach L does too with their athletes, which they meet online, and they can talk a little bit about themselves. And then also we talk about a little bit about the extracurricular programs that you can do. As you're looking at doing a sport, you always got to have, I would say, a plan B. Let's say if you say you cannot go like professional in your sport, you have to rely on your career. So focus on your career too. So maybe in your country, do some job shadowing, what you really want to do in the US, what you want to study, volunteer, in different ways, which really is going to set you apart. You're looking at college admissions, because different colleges are different. St. Cloud, we mainly look at your application, but other colleges might be looking at, what you do in extracurricular activities, your essay that you write. You might need to write an essay. So, really focus on setting yourself apart as you're navigating to become a student athlete. And then also the admission process to the US, like I said, we start mentioning in the beginning, the timeline is very important, because you have to start early. That's why I mentioned in my slide, even you are a freshman, you are in a good timeline to start, because start early, start exploring, so to see actually what you really want. So it can be in your budget. Look at your budget, start talking with your parents, what, say, okay, I want to go to the US. I think I have the skills enough to get a scholarship. Talk about the financial part with your parents or whoever is your guardian. Very, very important as you're looking at school. Find out about scholarship they offer, like we start mentioning, not only about the athletic scholarship, but also what academic scholarship I can get based on my talents, what other scholarship the school offer. Very, very important aspect as you're navigating through that. And then also do research on the academic programs. Like I mentioned, it's not only you are an athlete, but you're a student athlete. So you need to be able to do well in classes in order to actually be in athletics. So that's why do something that you're passionate about, and do something that you see that you can see yourself in the future doing. So, I would say research the academic programs and how these academic link you up with your career in the future. Understand how the admission process works. Students can get lost in the process, sometimes with communication with even us as admission counselors. So, communicate with us, what you have to submit, if you have submitted this document, if you have reviewed your application. So always communicate with us, and you'll be able to address that, because it basically goes hand to hand with the coach and also with us in an admission, because it's very important aspect. And then also understand the visa process. I know as an international students, you have to go through the visa, and that's why things like being a leader, participating in extracurricular activities really sets you apart when you go interview for a visa. So very important too that you get to know that aspect, which admission helps you with that process about paying the CV's fee, getting admitted into the school, and then go do an interview. So all that we actually train students on how they can be confident doing a visa interview. And then also keep track of important days, class registration, when you should be on campus, and this is very important that coach will communicate with you, or admission too will communicate with you. Sometimes athletics are different. Sometimes soccer needs to come to campus a little bit earlier, basketball a little bit earlier. So you have to know your travel plans and what you need to do in order to be on the campus itself. What I really want to emphasize too, that so people can understand the U.S. higher education system. You have to be able to identify what really you want to go into. Specific and what level and you can play, which is very important. One thing that as you're looking at schools in the US, there's different degrees that you can get, from a community college, which is like you can get an associate degree. From a 4-year university, you can get a bachelor's degree. Also, you can get a master's degree and doctoral degree. So these are the 4 I would say degrees typically the students come to study in the US and that they offer visa for. And then once they come to the levels of school, you have Division 1. Typically Division 1 is in the high top tier in sports in the US. That's mainly where the branding is. There's a lot of I would say emphasis on that school, because there's a lot of athletes who have gone become professionals, after attending a Division 1 schools, but also Division 2 schools, no other different. What they say right now, Division 2, you are more flexible. You'll be able to perform with a little bit less pressure, because Division 1 is like the top tier you're competing with. But Division 2 too, you'll be able to compete with the best. And then we have people who have gone professional in Division 2 specifically. And then also you have Division 3, in which I can mention Division 3 doesn't really offer athletic scholarship, but those schools are more on the academic level typically. But also you can compete on a good level, because they have nationals too, just like Division 1, Division 2. And then we have people in the past, I know even in track and field, that have gone and become professional athletes basically. And then also you have the NAIA schools specifically, so which is this different two that you can go into. Those ones don't really offer like scholarship either, but there is academic scholarship that you can get from the schools. And then we have the National Junior College, the NJCAA community colleges, which is very, very great too. If you're looking at let's say I want to start basic and then I want to transfer to a 4-year public university, you can do that too. So you can just get a better overview about the schools and how the system work here in the US. As you can see on this slide, all these schools, signs and their mascot, which is a big culture here in the US as you come, how people are supporting, the college athletics. And then this is just an overview what St. Cloud has for sports here. You can see St. Cloud is very known for hockey. We are top 5 in the nation for hockey. So if you're a hockey fan and if you're doing hockey right now and if you think you have a great talent, you can look into St. Cloud. We have a women's and men's soccer team, which we have a soccer stadium, which is really cool. We have Coach Sean, who is a Canadian coach, has great experience and have played professional too. We have baseball, softball, specifically too, that you can play here at St. Cloud, basketball, golf, swim and dive, wrestling, volleyball, track and field. So a lot of sports and a variety of sports that you can do at St. Cloud State. So just for you to get what we offer at St. Cloud State. And then very important, as we start talking about, there's different scholarship. I start mentioning already in my previous slides, look at other scholarship, athletic scholarship, academic scholarship, non-academic scholarship, student private loans. So there's different ways that you can manage basically that you can come to the US. For the athletic scholarship itself, you can get a full or partial athletic scholarship and the NCAA D1 and D2, and sometimes at the NEA levels. And then also you can have a scholarship at the junior college level too. And then also in the academic scholarship, there's mainly based on your GPA, your test scores, either you take your SAT, sometimes SAT is optional. But it's a lot based on like your accomplishment. If you can write an essay based on your career you want to go into, or there's specific criteria for academic scholarship based on what the school is offering. I would say at St. Cloud State, we have the ACSS scholarship, which is mainly if you get accepted and you have the criteria to enter the school, you can get the ACSS scholarship, which covers about 8,000 of your tuition, basically, which is really good scholarship for students. And then also you have the non-academic scholarship. Majority of schools of the scholarship for extracurricular activities. So here at St. Cloud, we call it foundation scholarship, which is mainly based on what you want to major in and what you have done in high school, and that have set you apart, which is very, very important as you're looking at scholarship. And then again, if you have somebody in the US, you can have student private loans. Sometimes countries have specific loans too that they give their students. I know countries in the Caribbean even give scholarship to the students once they are a good athlete. So there's different ways that you can navigate of getting a scholarship. And then since we have Coach L here, I will ask her, could you tell us about the scholarship structure in athletics, specifically? How does this part? Because this is very important for students to understand about really the scholarship structure, and really it's because a lot of students think, oh, everyone can get a full scholarship. So, and I want you to really explain that so the students can get to know that part.
Yes. So yeah, money, when it comes to talking money, can definitely be an uncomfortable thing. But one of the things that I really try to practice is to be as transparent as possible when it comes to funding a student's education. And so the goal is for us, the goal is for families to be able to get their kids to college while spending the least amount of money as possible. And that's definitely possible, regardless of what level that you're at. So with athletic, so one of the things when I am recruiting a student athlete, the grades are also important because I know that I can do what's called stacking, where I can pair academic scholarships with their athletic scholarships, assuming that they are someone who is talented enough both in the classroom and on the track to receive both of those. And so you also can pair that with like your financial aid. So in my program, for example, when I'm recruiting a woman, yes, I am looking at her athletic marks, but I am also paying attention to her academic marks too, because for the reasons I just outlined prior to that. And the goal is to make college as affordable as possible for all families. And so I would say that the money around scholarships typically happen for me once the student has applied to St. Cloud and they've gotten accepted. From that point, then we're going to have some sort of conversation around funding. Is that, will it be a full ride? A full ride scholarship that means that your family is coming out of pocket with no money. A partial scholarship is that is exactly as it sounds. It's just a piece. You're going to have to pay for a fraction of your education. And so one of the things I really want to push to families and to people is that there are so many ways for you to find funds to pay for a scholarship, to pay for college. There are all sorts of scholarship opportunities out there. The things I would say with scholarships is that you have to be on it. It's almost, think of it almost as like a part-time job. Like you have to be on it as far as like being able to find scholarships as far as applying to scholarships, those sorts of things. It can be time consuming, but the thing is, as I'm starting to recruit juniors, that is something that I put on their radar right away. Hey, start looking into what scholarships that you could potentially be that you would potentially be eligible for. And so, and then at the collegiate level, so let's say they accept St. Cloud, let's say they're going to come to school here and be a Husky. What I then do is I pretty much I have 4 areas that I'm really looking at for women as far as scholarship allocation goes. Do they qualify for our conference meet? Are they scoring in our conference meet? Do they qualify for the national meet? And then do they score at the national meet? There are so many ways that coaches go about allocating scholarships. Every program is different when it comes to the allotment that's available for them to distribute to their team. That's just the way that I do it. I will also say that there is nuance in that, but very straightforward. Those are essentially like the 4 areas that I'm looking for. And so what I will do is I will go look at their high school marks, compare them to the collegiate marks as I'm going through the recruiting process. And I'll say, okay, I'm able to look at the potential, when I get able to. This is why the relationship building that Coach JJ talked about before is really important, because let's say there's a woman who doesn't have very many track and field marks, but if I start to build a relationship with her and her family, and I know that, oh, you don't have a lot of marks because of A, B, and C, whatever the reasoning is, I can then start to make judgments as best I can from building a relationship with this person. Is this person a hard worker, or did they just have, unforeseen circumstances, or whatever the case may be? There's all sorts of nuances that affect the ways in which scholarships can be applied to someone. But I do want to reiterate that, there are so many ways to find ways to pay for college. I will tell you, one of the things that I just shared with our team in our team meeting, it is absolutely on you as the student to make sure that you're advocating for yourself and having those conversations with your coaches and whatnot. But coach, is that helpful? Do you want me to go into anything else?
No, that's great. Very, very important aspect for students to really understand. It's up to the coach, to decide, how the scholarship is distributed, and based on, the talent of the student itself and the athlete, and how they're looking to perform. And it's actually, Coach Al mentioned, a lot of coaches look at the conference meet. The conference meet is very, very important as you're looking at the competition in the US, because that's where you can excel. That's when you can score points for the school. And that's where the school, become a winner, So that's why really coaches in specifically track and field are looking at what was done last year. So this is who I'm going to be recruiting this year, so we can score in conference based on what in the quality of the conference meet is. The same as basketball, the same as soccer, what kind of striker, what kind of center fielder I need in order to win this game. So there's different aspect when it comes to scholarship, but again, don't only focus on the athletic part, but also focus on what you can bring to the table, which is the extracurricular activities that you do, your career you want to go into, which is very, very important for the scholarship piece. So hopefully this part, I think, is a very important piece as you becoming a student athlete. And then, like I mentioned, you can go on this platform as you are navigating and start promoting yourself. The NCSA, a very, very important, I would say, website that you can promote yourself. You can create your own profile so coaches can start seeing. You can put your video content on there, your accomplishment, your game stats, so coaches can start looking at you. So a really great platform for you to start promoting yourself. And then I just want to emphasize, if you're looking at the schools specifically, like D1, D2, D3, and even as JCA, National Junior College, you have specific rules that you have to abide to. Right here, I just added some of them. Student must be enrolled in 12 credits for more or more and maintain a 2.2 GPA at a division level 1 and 2.2 GPA on division 2 level. So you can see here again, like I mentioned in the beginning, you are a student athlete, so you have to be able to do well in school, and also be able to make sure you enroll, which is actually the visa perspective, which the immigration as the international students, you have to be in 12 credits in order to be full-time enrolled, and your visa your status to be valid, basically. So this is just very, very important aspect of, as you're looking to become an international student athlete. And then also you have to complete certain hours of study hall. Like I mentioned again, you're a student athlete, so you have to be able to perform well in class. And that's why even athletics help you with this part, because we want you to be successful not only on the field but also in the classroom. So that's why sometimes you have to do study halls in order to actually you build a relationship with your teammates, you build a relationship with other people, because sometimes there's other sports who are at the study hall, and you can meet with them, and then you guys can do homework together, study together, which is very important as a student athlete. And also participate in eligible competition after high school. Sometimes, you see that students do, some camps, or they come to specific competitions in the US. So that's why you have to be able to make sure that you have not competed, I would say professional specifically in the past, because this can influence your eligibility for NCAA. So please make sure if you are like, after graduating high school, let's say you did some professional games, you have to have a talk with NCAA, because your eligibility might be in jeopardy because you were a professional athlete in the past. So just make sure of that if you were getting paid or doing any of those after you graduate high school, just make sure of that you have to be careful with that part. And also you have to pay $160 process fee in order to visit the campus officially. So this is more when you are like on the recruitment part in the recruitment process, and when coaches start reaching out to you, the timeline, like coach said, like junior year. So in order to do this, you have to pay like $160 so you can actually be eligible to be recruited through NCAA. This is just like some rules that NCAA schools have in order to to protect their athletes. So it's very, very important for this. So Coach Al, can you talk a little bit about how do you implement these rules, just briefly, in your team as a head coach?
Yes, it is extremely important that we are following rules, as we want to make sure that we're in compliance and not doing anything to get in trouble. And so I do take it very seriously. I would say that the thing with the NCAA is the rules are set in place so that the goal is to create equity and equality amongst all recruiting for any potential student athlete. And so these rules are also like set in place too, so that way athletes are being protected, prospective student athletes are being protected. It's just mainly think of it as like as a guardrail, if you will. And so in everything that I'm doing, whether it's practices, recruiting, conversations with students and their families, I'm always being intentional with making sure that I am operating within this boundary that the NCAA has set. And so a very real life one is, for example, in track and field, we have what are called dead periods. And so that's a time in the academic calendar where I'm not allowed to do recruiting to athletes and their families. I would say the rules are arbitrary in that they're set at specific times and whatnot. But the point is that I have to follow those to make sure that I'm within compliance, so that way I'm not getting shut down, the school's not getting sanctioned for anything. And so, and that comes from everything with like how I'm communicating to you, when I'm communicating to you, which is why that timeline, again, is very important. We set the timeline in accordance to what the NCAA gives us, so that way we can make sure, that everything is being done the way that it's supposed to. Does that help, Coach?
Yes, Coach. Thank you. Thank you so much. Just briefly, this was a good explanation, a good overview, so you can get really what the NCAA, it's mainly, like I said, it's to protect the athlete, and also be able to, be successful with the GPA, and also with some fee that you have to pay. And then also, that the competition is fair. They don't want people who have gone professional in the past and now they come to college. So that's why you have to make sure. And also, they don't want coaches to start reaching out to you too early, because sometimes, you have to focus on doing well in your sports. And then, your junior, your senior year, that's when really you start excelling a little bit in your sports, and then these coaches can start talking to you. So just make sure of these NCAAs. There's a website that you can go, NCAA. NCAA, and you can go on this website, and then you can find all these specific rules too. But the coaches will be able to help you through this process too with the NCAA. And then the last slide, I want to share is just, we call it the big ends. Like I mentioned, you can go on these specific links that you can go in to become an NCAA international student athlete. You can international student athlete and an NAA student athlete. So there's different, I will say, ways that you can start exploring on the end. These platforms that you can see what are the rules and regulation, how is these are functioning, being a student athlete. And then, there's different ways that you can also know the information, and even before you become a student athlete, how these operate. So, what is expected from you and what coaches really are looking for as you are in these division, NCAA, NGCCA, or NEAA. So definitely different ways that they operate a little bit, but you have to know like what really it is. Typically NGCA is more junior colleges who are 2-year community colleges that you can go into, but it's still very competitive. They still have the conference, still have the nationals after that. The same thing happened with the NCAA. There is the conference meet, and then there's the national meet. And the same for NEAA. It just basically each division has some different rules, so you have to know like which one you are planning to go to, and then you can go from there. So yeah. And then, Coach, I would say the last thing I want you to ask you, what, as we're closing this session, what advice would you have for someone who is ambitious to become a student athlete in the United States?
Yes, great question, Coach. I would say, and Coach, are you talking about specifically for international students coming to the US, correct?
Yeah, and then just sports in general, basically too. Yeah,
I would say the biggest thing, the first thing that comes to mind is often and early. Communicate often, communicate early that you are interested. It is one thing when a student reaches out to me, hey, Coach, I'm interested in your program. I've done my research on you. They fill out the questionnaire. We might have a conversation or two. Then I don't hear from them for a while. Versus the student that not only reaches out, the student that's going to stick out to me is a student that not only reaches out, but they're consistently reaching out. Hey, Coach, here are my lifting updates. Hey, Coach, I have a competition coming up this week. Hey, Coach, here are the areas that I'm intentionally working on, right? They're communicating very often to me. They're communicating early to me that they're interested. I would say that even if you are in your senior year, that doesn't mean, and you decide that like, hey, you want to try to pursue athletics at the next level. Just know that it is possible, but you're going to have to be on it right as far as paperwork and processing those sorts of things. You would have to make a decision quick. And so my recommendation for our folks who are, maybe underclassmen on the call is let the coach know that not only are you interested, but you're going to stand out if you are consistently reaching out to them. I just had a conversation with the family the other day, and one of the things I shared with the dad on the call was think of, as you go through your college search process, think of it like dating. You're trying to not only fill out the school and the coach, but we are also doing the same. It goes both ways, right? We don't want the relationship to be so transactional. We want to make sure that it's one and where we're actually getting to know each other, right? Not only do I want to make sure that you're looking to make sure that the school is a good fit for you, but I also want to make sure as a coach that the institution is a spot for you where you feel like you can come and service it too. And so it will go both ways. And so I would say communicate often and early. That is one thing I will highlight, bold, italicize, if you will. That's my piece on that, Coach.
Thank you, Coach. That's a really great advice for our students. So, just building a relationship and keep yourself in the moment, and then also be able to also focus on your sports, focus on that and communicate every time you do something and you accomplish something. You communicate with the coach, post your content every day that you have a game, so coaches can stay up to date with what you're doing. And then as you go into the recruitment process, get to know the coach a little bit, get to know the athletes, follow the team on social media, see what they're doing. So, when you're there, you are already prepared for it. So, yeah. Well, thank you. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this presentation. I know it's, I would say we put it in an informal way. We had a conversation so students can actually get to know a little bit about the coach and a little bit about me. In how really the system is structured and what's the process that goes into it. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this presentation and learned a lot today. So thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much for the presentation. Thank you, Coach, and thank you, Jared. I will also allow some time to answer the questions because we have several of them in the comment section.
Okay.
So one of the first one would be, what's the process for a graduate student athlete?
Yes. So a graduate student athlete is definitely in the when they are in going to do their masters. I think it's actually even sometimes can be even more affordable because in the graduate level you can become a graduate assistant, and actually you can work for different departments of the school. And I believe some schools cover, for St. Cloud State, for example, they cover like 75% of your tuition. They pay part of your tuition, and let's say you get a scholarship, for athletic scholarship, you'll be able to cover majority part of your tuition and fees in the cost of attendance in general. So yeah, definitely the only thing you have to take a look at it that NCAA typically your eligibility is like 4 years. So let's say typically a graduate programs are like 2 years. It can go to 3 years. But a lot of students sometimes they continue with school. They start with a graduate program, they do 2 years of eligibility, and then they continue with their doctoral, so they can continue competing basically after like 2 years. So basically, get all the 4 years of eligibility going. So yeah, definitely, it's the same process basically. But I would recommend if you are a graduate student, look for graduate assistantship, because that's what's going to help you to get more funds, in order to come to the US. So yeah.
Okay, great. And the next question, and I think you already answered that in a slide, and the person can rewatch that after. How do you suggest reaching out and contacting the coaches? So I do really remember that slide. Also described really well how she is reaching out to families and how she is speaking to her students. So I think the person can rewatch that with more details. Then the other question is, thanks for this interesting talk. I would love to know if I can get a soccer scholarship if I have already completed an MA and I am pursuing a PhD.
Yes. Yeah, Coach, you want to tackle that?
So, for just I'm answering this from the compliance perspective. You have 10 consecutive semesters, and so if you have already completed your master's in your doctoral program, I guess is the nuance in this. Does this person have they started their if they've competed before, if their clock is already ticking, then they would probably be out of eligibility, because you only have 10 consecutive semesters to get your athletic eligibility completed. So even if they didn't do sports in college for their for their master's in their doctoral program, the timing it starts right away. So if they didn't compete during those time periods, most likely they're not eligible to compete. Does that make sense as y'all listen to me, JJ and Ellie?
Yeah, it makes sense, because I would say we would call it the perfect way to start doing a sport in the US is actually when you start a program too.
Yes, exactly.
So let's say if you are going into you want to be a freshman to do all your 4 years. If you go into your master's, you want to do your 2 years of master and then do like your 2 first years of doctoral program, or do another master. So,
right.
So you got to know that you got to complete 4 years if you're coming. And also this also will affect, the visa process, because, when they look at, what I would say status you are as a student, they say, okay, you're just going to be coming here for, 2 more years of school, and they're not going to grant you the visa. So it's very important that when you're starting a program, that's when you start looking into an athletic scholarship, or basically in becoming a student athlete, so you can have that 4-year eligibility that coach talk about, and there's semesters, so you can get that full advantage of. So that's why always when you start a program, it's ideal to look for to become a student athlete. Yeah.
And I'm saying, I know this is being recorded, but this is something that is being talked about as we are having this conversation right now in Division II, NCAA Division II. there are conversations being had about actually like an age limit even now. And so one of the ones that got proposed for Division II is like, for our conference specifically, is after the age of 26, you're done. And so, like I said, that hasn't yet been like cemented or anything, but I do know that is something at the NCAA Division II level, at least within our conference right now, that is an active conversation that is being had. And so I'm going to make an educated guess here that if this person already has a master's and a doctoral, that they've already done their undergraduate too, that their 10 consecutive semesters is most likely up.
Yep. So you know the timeline. Timeline is very important.
That's very great to know. Okay. The next question is, can an Olympic medalist get a full ride?
Yeah.
I mean, again, yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, as long as you've not done anything professionally, Olympic, yes, it's considered one of the biggest sport, events, and that's not professional. Yep. We have, as you can see, if you look at the Olympics, we have students who have gone for specifically, I can say swimmers, 15, 16 years old, basically. So after that, if they're planning after finish high school, to come to US and to become a student athlete, definitely yes. There's no barriers that's going to stop you. It's just if you were a professional and you were getting paid to do the sport, then you will say, hey, okay, you might have some issues there with NCAA because you were a pro athlete and now you're coming to compete in college. So, but Olympic medalists, yes, as long as you were not professional, yes, definitely, we will take you with open arms.
Okay, so another question from the Olympic medalist. What if the Olympic medalist has a little English and is aiming to go to graduate school?
Listen, we got all types of programming, all kinds of we're not gonna allow language and culture to be a barrier to you achieving your academic and athletic goals. That I would say that's the smallest of your that's nothing. We're fine. We got all kinds of things that we can use to make sure that you achieve both academic and athletics at a high level. That would be something I would say to not be concerned with when it comes to like the coaching perspective. Now, of course, as you go through your admissions processes and whatnot, you're going to have to prove that you're proficient to some degree, right? But once you actually like get through the testing and whatnot, when I think about like our folks who like speak a different language than I do, it doesn't have to be a barrier if we don't make it a barrier.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, same thing as college. I'm just gonna reiterate what Al does. It's the same thing. There's no limit right there. So yeah.
So the next question, and I think you already answered some of that, Coach Al. What's an age limit for student athletes? So there is one that has been discussed now already. So.
Yeah. Yep. About that age of 26. Again, nothing cemented just yet. But that is the conversation, the active conversation that is happening now.
And I can say that too, just added to that, I can talk in a scientifically, way, the human body, typically depends what sport you're doing, of course, but, you reach your peak, in your late 20s, basically. And then you come into college to compete against 18, 19 years old. So, you have to just be realistic about how, your body can perform at what level, because sometimes it can be very intensive on your body. So,
yeah, that's
scientifically way.
Yeah. Okay, the last one. Does that mean if I finish 2 years in my home country pursuing bachelor degrees, but did not end up getting it, I got only 6 semesters, 3 years to be a college athlete in the US?
Not specifically. So let's say if I'm understanding, if this person have obtained his bachelor's degree, but not so then I end up getting the bachelor's. No. So let's say this person then have college credits. They will be able then to transfer to the US with these college credits that they started in their home country, and then you can still be able to do sports, because you can complete, let's say if you have like 2 more years of college in the US, you can do your masters. As you continue with your master, you can complete all your seasons in athletics. So you can still transfer to the US, and sometimes even if we look at your transfer credit, sometimes if the curriculum is not the same, maybe not all courses that you took transfer. You might start as a second year or a sophomore student specifically. So you might even be at the school in the US for 3 years doing your undergrad. So there's different ways that we can look at it, but definitely if you have obtained college credits in your country, you can transfer them to us. And then whoever sports you want to do based on your level and who you're talking to, the coach that you're talking to, they will be able to accommodate you, and you can still do your sports in the US. So, yeah.
Thank you very much for this detailed response. Perfect. Okay, so I think we are done with the questions. You guys, if you have some of them afterwards, you can leave them in the comment sections, as I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar. And I'm so thankful and grateful for this great webinar and this great presentation to Coach JJ, and to Coach L. I really appreciate that, because I heard Coach L said a few times Coach JJ, so I assume JJ is also.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you haven't mentioned that when we were speaking before this webinar, but I will know that in the. Okay, thank you so much once again. We hope that our students had a fun time with us, and they've got some useful information, useful resources, that they can use when researching their options for an athletic scholarship. We will also leave afterwards the contact information for Jared, so the students can reach you after. And thank you so much for allowing this this time to explain us in details what an athletic scholarship would mean, because that's a very complicated topic. So we are very, very grateful for that.
Awesome. Thank you for having us. And definitely, if you have more sessions, let us know. We will be able to gladly connect with our students. So, yeah.
Thank you, dear students, dear parents that have watched us today. You can watch this video on our YouTube channel. Thank you for your time. And as I've mentioned before, we are coming with new webinars since next week. For September, we have prepared some interesting topics. Stay tuned. Go on our website, go on our YouTube page, on our LinkedIn page. We have a lot of information there. Thank you once again, and have a great, great evening, everyone.